This is Charles Anderlin, Middle East correspondent for France 2, a major French public television station. Both a French and Israeli citizen, he's a highly respected journalist in Europe. On September 30th, 2000, Anderlin was in Ramallah, on the West Bank. His cameraman, Talal Abu Rahmeh, called him from Netzarim Junction in the Gaza Strip and, amidst the sound of gunfire, promised Anderlin some explosive footage. That evening, Anderlin received Talal's material together with a terrifying narrative. According to Talal, this father and son were briefly caught in a crossfire from all directions. Then they were pinned behind the barrel by just Israeli fire for over 40 minutes. The boy was screaming, the father tried to protect him, but they were cut down, Talal insisted, by Israeli fire in cold blood. The Israelis even fired on the ambulance, preventing it from evacuating the boy. How much of the footage available from that day, taken by Talal and two other Palestinian cameramen working for major Western news agencies, supports this narrative? Let's examine.
How much did you feed? How many minutes?
Like 6.
And what did you choose? All that material from the boy?
From the beginning, I just give him from the beginning, from the shooting to the end.
All that survives from Talal's work that day is a little over 3 minutes of this scene and only 59 seconds that involve the father and son under fire. And yet, every second of such footage would have been more valuable than anything anyone shot that day at the junction.
I'm the journalist. I decide what's important. All of that is throwing stones. Why I give them throwing stones and I have shooting?
Why so little? Why so unfocused? Why such limited close-ups? Why Talal alone caught the scene? Two other cameramen caught the scene with Jamal and Mohammed behind the barrel that day. The cameraman filming from behind shows that the third cameraman was right behind the boy, seen here moving his leg. They were joined by a fourth person just when the firing was supposed to be at its worst. Unlike Mohammed and his father, who were protected by the barrel, the cameraman and the man behind him were directly in the line of Israeli fire. Were the boy and the father pinned, why would two men come to crouch behind them when these two extra figures were not protected by the barrel? Here we see what the cameraman filming directly behind the boy and the father shot. Note Jamal's hand moving the stone. And listen as the boy and father speak while Jamal's hand moves in front of the lens. If the scene were as terrible as Talal described, why did neither of these cameramen, there at the scene, get any footage from this 40-minute ordeal?
They kept shooting in him. Believe me, they kept shooting in him.
When we listen for firing during the footage that we know was taken while the father and son were pinned behind the barrel, we hear gunshots, but also long periods of silence.
In the first 5 minutes, it was shooting all of direction. But after that, no. It was only that direction, the direction behind me.
The direction behind him? Behind Talal is a Palestinian position, not Israeli soldiers. Could the Palestinians have been shooting in the Adura's direction? Here we see the Israeli position, hear shots, but see no evidence of Israeli fire. Indeed, even when we hear firing and see Palestinians running for cover, others stand in front of the Israeli position without flinching. Finally, when we turn to the scenes of the Aduras supposedly under fire, we can only locate 2 bullets hitting the wall over their heads, none hitting the barrel. Neither of these 2 bullets come from the Israeli side. Here is what a shot coming from the angle of the Israeli position would look like. Note the large cloud of dust kicked off in the opposite direction from the shot. And this is how shots fired from head-on would look. Both of these bullets seem to come from head-on shots, that is to say, not from the Israelis, but from Palestinian positions. Given the evidence about shooting, does it seem that the Aduras were pinned? When we look at the clips taken while we know the 2 were behind the barrel, and before Talal's famous footage, we find many Palestinians between the barrel and the Israeli position. Plenty of people then left the scene, leaving the boy and the father behind. How did all these people move away and not the Aduras? Were they running away or clearing a set?
The boy was bleeding.